from the vault, high atop the pastoral center of the Diocese of Camden, you're listening to Talking Catholic.
Hey everybody, you're listening to Talking Catholic, the official podcast of the Catholic community of South Jersey, going from Cape May to Cherry Hill, any and all between. I'm Pete Sanchez, your host, with Mike Walsh, as always, my co-host, and we're happy you're here joining us again.
Hey Pete, it's we're finally into almost fall, with the exception of the 97-degree weather. We're almost at fall. I hear the pumpkin spice latte is now being sold at various coffee establishments, none of which that I go to, since I don't drink coffee. But soon it'll be warmer, cooler weather, warmer clothes. I can put more clothes on to hide my fat. It'll be great.
It will, Mike.
I love fall. I'm very excited about it.
No,
I almost put out a request for pie on Facebook, just so somebody would bring me pies. No blueberry pies, I'm allergic, but all the other pies, I'm fine.
Okay, well, bring Mike and I pie. I love it. Mike, I make a mean pecan pie.
Do you?
I do.
Weird. We've worked together almost 3 years, and nothing has appeared. So you might want to get on that at some point.
Okay, well, there will be pie in your future. I'll make one right for you.
Excellent. I appreciate that, sir.
Well, you talked about pumpkin spice. I'm not a fan. Yeah, I've stopped drinking coffee recently myself, but even before, I don't. It's not even. We talked about this. It's not pumpkin.
Yeah,
it's not really.
Well, what is really pumpkin?
It's a gourd, isn't it?
No, I mean I know what pumpkin. You sort of asked into this sort of metaphysical way, and I'm like, I know it's a gourd, and it's delicious.
It is, and that's the thing too. This time of year, one of the things I look forward to with my family is apple picking. That's fun. We go out to a wonderful place in Central Jersey, and we get different apples, Red Delicious, Gala, Fuji. They're all on the trees, and it's nice. And the cool weather, and we're coming into September, Mike. It's still a little, not just a little, it is.
Well, it's hot right now, but
miserable out here in South Jersey.
But we have stuff coming up that's fun to attend. So what's coming down the pike?
Well, tomorrow, Friday, September 7th, we have the Light the Fire with who we've had on the podcast, the Franciscan Sisters of the Renewal, for another night of prayer, praise, and street evangelization taking place in Atlantic City at St. Michael Church on 10 North Mississippi Avenue. Listen to the podcast. We had them on a few weeks ago. It explains everything that this is going to be. Adoration, music, confession. It starts at 6:15 with Mass. And what's neat is that you also go out in teams to evangelize and try to bring people back into church to light a candle. And it's just a prayerful experience. I'm excited for this. You can go to Franciscan Sisters CFR.com for more information on this, and stay tuned because as they get closer, there are a lot of different events that the Franciscan Sisters are hosting that Mike and I heard about, and we talked about them a bit earlier too. So check out that podcast. Come out Friday, September 7th, tomorrow night, 6:15 Mass, 7 to 9:30 Adoration, Music, and Confession, St. Michael Church in Atlantic City.
And by all means, actually come to it, because as someone who is a cradle Catholic like myself, and Pete as well, but who actually attended it, I was blown away. It was unlike anything I had ever seen before. And I think that sometimes we have a hard time as Catholics being evangelizers, and it's actually something that's really built into our DNA that we simply don't activate on a regular basis. And so if you've ever had an inclination to be a part of that, and the sisters will walk you through it joyfully, it's amazing. Don't be frightened. Well, be frightened, but overcome your fright and come anyway, because I was truly impressed and touched by seeing so many laity being comfortable and going out and evangelizing on the part of Christ, and bringing back just people on the streets to a Catholic church. It was a sight to behold, and certainly something to experience. Even if you're not inclined, by all means, experience it.
I like the word you used there, Mike, activate, because I think there's something I know in my life. It took me some time to realize the power that was already inside of me, the spirit that God has put into my heart, that fire. that we all have. But with something like this, with different events, youth events, young adult events, an event coming up that we'll be talking about shortly with our special guest, it's amazing those things can activate the fire and it can burn brighter, and we can realize our power as missionary disciples for Christ. And we just be not afraid.
Yeah.
As St. John Paul said. So come on out. It should be good. And then on Friday, September 28th, later on this month, at 10:30 a.m., the annual Diocesan Blue Mass, which honors law enforcement and first responders, will take place once again at St. Agnes Church, Our Lady of Hope Parish on 701 Little Gloucester Road. Parishioners, family, children are all invited to this beautiful Mass. Bishop Sullivan will be there celebrating the Mass. It's at 10:30 a.m. in Blackwood, and we've been to many of those, Mike, haven't we?
Oh, the Blue Mass is another one of those. Yeah, I'm a sucker for pomp and circumstance, and that's one of the great ones. And it's, it's certainly the Blue Mass. It's also for first responders in general, but it's definitely specifically developed with priests in mind, police in mind. And just seeing the church filled with police and first responders and people who support the first responders in their lives, and then have Bishop there blessing them, encouraging them to do their jobs, morally and ethically and with love and compassion, as he says a prayer for their safety and their good nature. It's really great. I love when we have these opportunities to interact with people who we need in our daily lives, even if sometimes we don't realize it, and even if sometimes we don't like the idea of them rolling up behind us as we've driven a little too quickly down Route 55, at least for myself anyway, or perhaps rolled through a stop sign at some point in our lives, which once again I may have done once or twice. Without thinking, but no, it's a great activity and it's a great event, and I do hope people will come to it.
Yeah, you could have said it better. I will see you there, Mike, and I hope to see the listeners there as well. And then the next day, the 29th, so come on out to Blackwood on the 28th, and then the next day, come to Haddonfield at the Paul VI Conference Center for the Diocesan Catechetical Convocation from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Saturday, September 29th.
And for that one, I think you'll have to register early. So make sure you go to camdendiocese.org to check out the link for their website.
Yeah, good call. And as always, all these events can be found on camdendiocese.org. On the right-hand side, you can find the calendar. Click on it. A whole lot of stuff going on. So this event will be themed. It's called Walk With Me. So parish, school, and college leaders of all ages, pastors, deacons, RCA coordinators, adult catechists, youth leaders are invited to this of all ages. There'll be dynamic speakers, service project from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. And then coming up also, we got something I was fortunate to do last year. It is the Samuel Group, a discernment group for young adults ages 18 to 39. It's a thing, they meet once a month from September to May to study, pray, and to basically, to come together to pray, to learn, and help young adults discern their vocation, and also learn to. When I found out doing it last year, it was great because I didn't quite know what to expect. The phrase I always try to remember, or the thing I try to remember, going to an attitude of don't anticipate, participate. So I just dove in with a nice group of young adults and some leaders, some Franciscan sisters in the role that were there. I think Sister Diane Higgins, another sister, was a wonderful guide during that time. And it was just such a great experience from September to May to be able to meet one Sunday a month. Just opened, it helped me approach my discernment with peace, joy, and confidence. And I hope it does that for you from 18 to 39. And there are 2 locations this year. It's at Rowan University in Glassboro and Catholic Campus Ministry at Galloway Township. And it's good to know there are different days and different times for both of these. But sign up. There will be $25 donation for materials. It's not much. You get a little booklet each month. And it's just a nice time just to quiet yourself, be in the presence of like-minded young adults, and get spiritual direction. So come on out to this. I could not promote this more. I think it's wonderful. So talk to Greg Coogan, his office. The Youth, Young Adult, and Campus Ministries is organizing this. So contact him, gregory.coogan@camdendiocese.org. Call him 856-583-2908, or go to camdendiocese.org/Samuel Group. The classes, or I guess the groups, are starting up soon. So check it out. And without further ado, Mike,
further ado.
Yes. That's right. How could this is a big ado.
You know what? I'll tell you what. We won't even do this one because I will remember at the 11-minute mark to put in an ad for this one, a pre-canned ad that we have for this next read. So, folks, you either are about to hear or just heard an ad for Man Up South Jersey.
On November 10th, the Man Up Men's Spirituality Conference comes to South Jersey. Do you want to be the missionary disciple that God intends? Do you want the opportunity to invigorate and unleash the Holy Spirit in your life? Do you want to be a better son, a better husband, a better father? Do you want to be a better man? Then register today at manupsouthjersey.com for this powerful men's spirituality conference. The conference will feature dynamic speakers, Eucharistic adoration, and tips on creating parish prayer groups. Priests will be available throughout the day for the Sacrament of Reconciliation. This spiritually inspired day will conclude with Mass celebrated by Bishop Dennis Sullivan. To register, go to manupsouthjersey.com. Don't miss this important event. It could change your life. Be the man that God intended. Register today at manupsouthjersey.com.
So then the other thing that we have coming down the pike is another event that I have wanted to go to for years and years and years, and I have never been able to make it to. You have gone to it, and we have a special guest with us today who's heading it up. So why don't you give us the background, since I know nothing about it, having never been.
Well, this is something, a little background on my end. A few years ago, Bishop Galante, I got a letter from him our Bishop Emeritus, when he was bishop here. I guess before Bishop Sullivan, I don't know how to put that. He's still bishop.
Yeah, but you said it right. He's Bishop Emeritus.
Yeah. When he was the active leader.
Yeah,
the ordinary.
Yeah. The ordinary. Thank you, Father. I got a letter telling me that I was appointed to the Marian Commission. And I did that for a number of years, just humbled and honored to work with Father Jim Bartoloma.
Thank you.
And I'd never heard of it before. I'd never been to this Marian pilgrimage every 2 years to the Basilica of the National Shrine of the Immaculate Conception in Washington, D.C. It's mind-blowing. It is just beautiful. So we're going to talk about this with Father Jim. How are you? Or Father, what is it? Father Jim, Father James, Father Bartoloma?
You could use both interchangeably, Father Bartoloma or Father Jim.
Okay. Thank you. So
whatever's easier for. I don't want you to get tongue-tied on my last name.
No, that never happens.
In this podcast. Yeah.
Well, I remember you from Queen of Heaven.
That's right. We've known each other for a long time. We've been on the scene of the diocese for a long time.
Almost as long as Father Jim and I have known each other.
Yes, we're old friends too.
Yeah, when I could have just called him seminarian Jim back in those days. As a matter of fact, I'm now down to only 2 more people of my vaunted gang to get on the podcast. I have to go after. I have 3 more people. I have Max Taylor and the Henrys. I have to nail down. But yes, we've talked about these people in my life who had incredible impact, and Father Jim is one of those people who had a particularly strong impact on my spiritual life as well as my personal life. So it's great to have you on.
I appreciate that.
So as an outsider who never got a chance to make it to any of the Marian pilgrimages, can you give me the background?
Sure. One of the things that I do, I'm the chancellor of the diocese, and one of the jobs I have, just being close to the bishop and kind of the diocesan scene now, is that I'm the director of the Marian Commission. So let me just talk a little bit about the Marian Commission first. The Marian Commission was begun in the early 1970s by Bishop Guilfoyle. The first director of it was Monsignor Pat Madden, who's now deceased, but he was the director for a long time, for about 20 years. And the other longtime director was Monsignor Bill Hodge, who's the pastor at St. Mary's in Gloucester. We know him so well. There have been a few other priest directors over the years, but the main part of the Marian Commission obviously is to promote devotion to the Blessed Mother in this diocese that's dedicated to her. The main work of the Marian Commission is that it facilitates a pilgrimage every 2 years to the Basilica of the National Shrine of the Immaculate Conception in Washington, D.C. The bishops of Camden, since the time of its construction, they've been on the board of the board of trustees of the shrine, and the diocese has had a lot of involvement and a lot of overlapping with devotion to the Blessed Mother. Both the country, that shrine, and our diocese are dedicated to Mary under the title of the Immaculate Conception. So there's a wonderful Marian spirit in the diocese that's always been there. Bishop Guilfoyle wanted to kind of solidify that with the establishment of the Marian Commission and this pilgrimage every other year that happens to the National Shrine. It is a wonderful, joyful, prayer-filled day. It is not taxing at all. We're lucky that the Diocese of Camden in South Jersey is close to Washington, D.C., so it's not like going on a pilgrimage to the Holy Land or to Rome or beautiful places like that, but that are inaccessible to a lot of people. The shrine itself, we'll talk a little bit about that, I believe, is absolutely beautiful. It's one of the 10 largest churches in the world, and it's actually the largest Catholic church in the United States. So we really have an advantage in where we are in this diocese to be able to go there on pilgrimage, and every other year we facilitate that.
You know, I haven't been to the National Shrine since I think I was in high school, my senior year of high school. Mm-hmm. And even then, I was awestruck at the enormity of it and how beautiful it was, and the side chapels along the side. It's for those of us who don't get a chance to go overseas and see some of the beautiful structures in Europe. You get a real sense of what kind of beauty they may have going to this one. And it's well attended as well. I mean, we get busloads of people coming.
It is well attended. I've been the director for the last 3 pilgrimages, and the last one was about 2,000 people.
Wow.
So it's wonderful to see the shrine filled. There have been ones in the past where there were even more, but Camden has always had a good presence at our pilgrimage. Yeah. Some other dioceses do have pilgrimages, either every other year or some less often than that. But Camden is one of the largest pilgrimages, and I think, again, the proximity to Washington, but there's a real spiritual connection with Our Lady under the title of the Immaculate Conception also that I think comes into play.
And Pete, I remember when you were there last, I had asked you to post some photos and videos up on the Star Herald Facebook page. And you took some video of the parade of parishes?
Yeah,
the procession of parishes, yes.
Yeah, the procession of parishes, which is amazing. You see, because really the whole day, Father Bartoloma, correct me if I'm wrong, it's our day. Like, is it closed to the general public?
The public's always welcome there, and there's always people in and out of a shrine, in and out of the shrine. But it's the day for us to join our Bishop Sullivan, on pilgrimage to this shrine in honor of Our Lady. So the parishes are represented, and a number of people come. What you're referring to is part of the day in the afternoon before we pray the Rosary. There's the procession of parishes, and representatives are invited to bring banners with the parish name or images of the patron saint. They're announced, and they walk down the aisle in procession, and then all together we pray the Rosary towards the end.
That's one of the most beautiful. Getting back to Mike, I was thinking about that in preparation for this, because there's not too many in that beautiful space to see the people come down and also not only to see the parishes with their banners, and they have the May crowning there and that's beautiful. They get somebody to
there's a crowning of the statue of Our Lady there at the end.
And then
it's very dramatic. The organ builds to a big crescendo as she's crowned.
Yeah, that's another thing. The music, because there's a concert of sacred music.
Actually, maybe that's what we should do right now. Is what is the schedule of the day?
Let me talk about the schedule. So, anyone is welcome to come on your own transportation, and a lot of times families will make a nice day trip out of it. And even if you want to stay a little bit longer, to stay and see some other things in Washington. Yeah. But the parishes, the different parishes have buses that go. Sometimes parishes partner with other parishes and share a bus. But I'll just say at the beginning and at the end, for more information on this, contact your parish office and ask how you can go through your parish. I'll also give a phone number at the if I can find it. Sure.
We got it. It's 856-939-1769.
Thank you. 856-939-1769. Call that number. Ask for Donna. If she is not there, leave a message and she'll call you back. She's able to also tell people where the nearest bus is leaving from, what parish the nearest bus is leaving from for them too. Yeah. But it's good to first just call your parish office and just ask if there's a bus going from your parish and what time it's departing. So the schedule is this. So the buses arrive in Washington between 9:30 and 11. And when the people arrive, there's time for the sacrament of confession. So priests are available to hear confessions, both in English and in Spanish. There's time then between 9:30 and 11 to explore the shrine, and it is an enormous structure. That's the first thing that hits you when you pull up to it in your bus, and then certainly when you go inside. There's time for private prayer. There's time to visit the shrine gift shop and the shrine bookstore, which are excellent. And then at 11 o'clock, after all the buses have arrived, there is an official welcome. Usually by either the rector of the shrine or the director of pilgrimages. And then there's a concert of sacred music, and there are a number of concerts that are participating this year in the concert. The diocesan choir, the Paul VI High School Choir, a choir that's called the Concordia Choir from Most Precious Blood Parish in Collingswood. That's a combination of youth and young adults. Also, the Diocesan Gospel Choir and the Diocesan Hispanic Choir, they are also going to be participating in that choir in the concert of sacred music. After that, at 1:30, after that at 12 noon, there's time for lunch. There is a cafeteria at the shrine. Also, a lot of pilgrims bring a bag lunch. Could be easier to do that. And then at 1:30 what you were talking about begins the procession of parishes. And to soft organ music, the names of the parishes of the diocese are announced, and as I said, representatives walk down the aisle with the banner of the patron saint or the name of the parish. Yeah. They place the banner in the sanctuary, and then when all the parishes are represented in that way, there's a multilingual rosary and a crowning of the statue of the Blessed Virgin Mary. Then there's a little break, and then at 3 p.m. there is the highlight of the day, Mass with Bishop Sullivan in the shrine, which, again, whenever the local church of the diocese, even on pilgrimage, is gathered around the bishop, it's a big deal. It means a lot. And then departure is following the Mass at the end of the day, usually around 4:30 or between 4:30 and 5, there's the departure. So that's what the day consists of. That's the schedule. The shrine itself is magnificent. As I said, it's it's the largest Catholic church in North America. It's one of the 10 largest in the world. It has numerous, Mike or Pete, one of you mentioned this. It has actually 80 side chapels dedicated to the Blessed Mother under her different titles and to represent how she's honored in different cultures and different countries, different ethnicities. So among the different nationalities where you see a special depiction of Our Lady in that way, the chapels. There's one that's there's an African, Austrian, French, German, Latin American, Lithuanian, Polish, Slovenian, Vietnamese, Italian, and so on and so forth. There's 80 of these chapels throughout the whole shrine of Our Lady in that way. And the big highlight for this year, for anyone who has been to the shrine before, but if it's been a while, is that the great Trinity Dome over the it's not exactly over the sanctuary, it's more in the center of the church, has been completed. And I was thinking back when we had the pilgrimage the last time in 2016, they were still working on the dome, putting the mosaic in. And so it was it was a little bit, I don't know, a little tighter and temporary then.
Oh, you saw all the scaffolding.
Yeah, you see the scaffolding.
The covering, the plastic.
And I had the privilege, I was down there for meetings a few years ago around that time. I had the privilege of taking the elevator up to the top of that scaffolding. There actually was an elevator, and you could touch the curvature of the dome as they were putting the mosaic pieces in. Well, it's completed. It was dedicated last year on the Feast of the Immaculate Conception 2017. And you walk in now, and it is magnificent. There's an image of the Holy Trinity over close to the altar. Opposite that is an image of the Immaculate Conception. Surrounded, the Trinity and Our Lady are surrounded with mosaic images of different saints who have an association with the United States of America, Kateri Tekakwitha, for example, St. Elizabeth Ann Seton, a number of them, also St. John Paul II, who visited the shrine, a number of saints. And the words of the Nicene Creed are around the base of the dome that we say every Sunday in Mass. When Pope Francis came to the United States for his visit, he blessed the stone that has the first and the last words of the creed. I believe in one God, and amen is underneath that. It goes around. So he blessed that. It was just at the beginning of the construction of the dome. And the four evangelists, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, are on 4 different angles too. So it's enormous, it's colorful, it's rich and beautiful, and really befits the shrine. And if you've been to the shrine before, but if it's been a while, come and see the completed Trinity Dome. It's certainly worth the trip for that also.
And I just talking, you mentioned Pope Francis being there, St. John Paul II, also St. Teresa was there, and just to know these, just some. I've become in a few years now getting really involved in history, and one of the things I love about stepping into a place like this church or elsewhere, you walk in the footsteps of St. John Paul, St. Teresa, Pope Francis. It has that history. You see the Marian. They have the side chapels, and they have a lower crypt that has more. You see more devotions. It's awe-inspiring.
It is, and it should be for a shrine.
Yeah, and it just. Yeah.
People ask, like, sometimes what is a shrine? What is it meant to be? A shrine, it's different from your parish church. It's different from the cathedral, which is the church of the bishop. A shrine is a place, or more often a church that's built to be a place of pilgrimage. That's the main purpose of a shrine, to be a place of pilgrimage. It's built sometimes to honor a different saint, sometimes the relics of saints that are kept in a shrine, but oftentimes to honor the Mother of God in a special way, which is the case for the Basilica of the National Shrine of the Immaculate Conception. So because it's a shrine and not a parish church, you don't have things there such as baptisms or weddings or anything like that. Although I did learn that the only wedding ever to happen there was the daughter of President Lyndon B. Johnson. Somehow.
Oh, really?
Yes, somehow there was some connection, and she married a Catholic, or I don't remember the whole story, but there's an interesting picture, and that's the only one wedding that was ever done there.
Gosh, that's some trivia.
Yeah, I'm filled with a lot of it. But that's very exceptional. But it's meant to be a place of pilgrimage, prayer. It's meant to have a robust spiritual life, and liturgy is done impeccably well. Confession available, spiritual direction available. There's a full-time spiritual director there. A place for different groups of people to go on pilgrimage, not just dioceses, but sometimes different people of different nationalities will have a particular pilgrimage there. So that's what a shrine is meant to be. And there really is something good about physically getting yourself up and going to a holy place. We can all pray wherever we are, and we go to our parish church that we're very familiar with, and but there's something about taking the time out, especially if we have an intention that we want to make the pilgrimage for, and picking ourselves up and giving that sacrifice of our time to God and making a pilgrimage to a location. And again, what a privilege we have in the proximity of this to the Diocese of Camden.
I'm curious. You're a world traveler, and you've hit a few shrines in your life. Mm-hmm. Are there any shrines around the world, around the country that have sort of spoken to you? I'd
have to think about. I have to say the Basilica of the National Shrine in Washington is extremely special to me because I've been a number of times, and mm-hmm. As the director of the Marian Commission, I really understand the importance of that place. So it's hard to rate them, but I'd say that really is a very special place.
That's great
to me personally, if that's what you're asking. I've been to other places. There's others who have traveled a lot more than me. I lived in Rome for 3 years when I was studying canon law. So to be near the papal basilicas, where the relics of St. Peter are, and St. Peter's in the Vatican, the relics of St. Paul are kept in St. Paul outside the wall. Those are shrines in a sense, but places of pilgrimage. Mm-hmm. So those are ones that come to mind. I was just in France for the diocesan. There was a priest pilgrimage to Ars in France, where St. John Marie Vianney lived and was a parish priest. And there were a few side trips to other places. And one of them that was very striking was we went to Lisieux, where St. Therese, the little flower, lived. And there's a beautiful basilica, absolutely gorgeous basilica there that reminded me a lot of the shrine, actually.
Really?
Yeah, and it's built to honor her as a saint in her little way. But the mosaic work in there, it was just hearkening back to the shrine in Washington.
You bring something up, and I think in our personal lives we've talked about this a few times, Father. But the role of beauty in our spirituality, a beautiful edifice, a beautiful artwork, a beautiful structure, mm-hmm. And how it adds something. It adds something to our focus and what brings joy into us. Can you talk a little bit about that? How art.
Yeah, it's part of what appeals to our senses. I mean, God did not make us pure spirits like the angels. We have bodies, we have minds, we have souls, and so to engage all of the senses as best we can, which Catholics, we do that even in the celebration of certain solemn masses with incense and singing and ritual and whatnot. But in sacred art and in sacred architecture, it's an extension of our worship, I think. Mm-hmm. You could probably see it that way. And it's engaging the senses. It leads one to almost in a kind of a spiritual sense pass through the image and connect with God in a profound way with the sacred art and sacred architecture as the means to the end.
Yeah.
And so that's why churches should be beautiful and shrines should be even more exceptionally beautiful, and the liturgies conducted there should be really top of the line.
Yeah.
And it certainly is. And the diocese on that day, we certainly bring out the best. It's a mass with the bishop, but all the music of that day and everything that happens, it's a fascinating balance of quiet prayer time that people have in these little niches, these different chapels on their own. There's that, and then there's the make a joyful sound unto the Lord, celebration of the concert and of the Mass and praying to Our Lady too. So all of that is happening at the same time. So and the imagery, it's something that it catches us up into the real spirit of the pilgrimage.
And I've looked forward to it. I've said this. I've looked forward to it for many years. Every time it happens, I make a point of going, because you said you have those moments of quiet peace, and for me, it just kind of resets things. This pilgrimage, which is what a pilgrimage is supposed to do. Especially, you're on the bus. A lot of parishes, a lot of buses I've been to, we pray the Rosary going down, and then we get there and there's time to go to the gift shop. Which is awesome as a book lover. They have a bookshop and then another gift shop with statues, beautiful, souvenirs or gifts for others. But what I enjoy most is just those times of quiet, of calm, and what you were saying, getting the beauty, how it can lead us to God, and reflecting on an icon or stained glass, or hopefully the Trinity Dome. I'm going to get right up front there, but it's
you can't miss it, even if you're not all the way up front. Yeah, you can't miss that.
No, and I just think it's something that people should avail themselves of. Come to DC and we need these days to just kind of reset our energies and to remember that, to kind of put things back in focus.
Yeah, I agree. Like I said, there's something beneficial about picking oneself up and going to a holy place, even if if we stop and make a visit to the Blessed Sacrament in a church, or if there's a holy place that we stop just for a few moments. It's something that resets us. It's like rebooting your system.
Oh,
but for a pilgrimage, and you think about all the people we have to pray for, all the things that we have to pray for, there's so much going on. If you do the pilgrimage and make an intention with it and offer that intention to God through the hands of Our Lady, and then do this pilgrimage day, it really is something that's spiritually beneficial, and there'll be spiritual fruits of it in your life. Nobody who ever goes on this pilgrimage regrets it, and it makes for great memories also. I live in Our Lady of Guadalupe Parish in Lindenwold with Father Vince Guest, and he is wonderful about promoting the pilgrimage. There's a bus from Lindenwold going. One of the parishes is where I happen to be in residence, and he always brings up that he remembers going as part of a family trip. I don't know if it was a pilgrimage through a diocese, but he remembers going when he was a child with his family, and you're overwhelmed by the beauty of it, and it's just seared in your memory. And he remembers that and brings it up to this day, and it fuels his enthusiasm for promoting the pilgrimage to the National Shrine now. As I would say, like you were asking before, Mike, with different shrines I've been to, just the positive experiences I've had of that and able to promote it now, there's a special place in my heart for the Basilica of the National Shrine in Washington.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I haven't been there in 30 years. I've been to the outside. I haven't been in.
Oh, you've got to get there.
And, but that's my point, though. When I went 30 years ago, I still remember it clear as day, and I still remember being amazed by the sheer size and scope. I mean, even I remember learning, the visuals there play tricks on your eyes, and as I recall, above. There's a statue of Mary above the altar, correct? On top of
the canopy over the altar,
yeah.
The baldacchino. Yes.
Yeah, and she's actually 18 feet tall or something.
Yeah.
That. But to look at him from the angle you're at, she ends up looking human-sized. And it's only until you get very close you realize the enormity of the statue.
The perspective is amazing. And like I said, I had the privilege of going to the top when they were putting the pieces of the mosaic in to see that, and you go up and there's St. Mark's foot and its toe is gigantic, and you're right there and you see how close it is to the perspective of that.
Even the spire outside the building, the bell tower outside the building is I remember as a kid standing at the base of it, looking up, and just from the way I was standing, the way the clouds were moving over it, It's the only time. I don't know what reverse vertigo would be, but it just you could almost feel the earth moving. Just it was an optical illusion, but it was one of those optical illusions that really stuck with me. So from an engineering standpoint, from an art standpoint, from a spiritual standpoint, it really sounds like it's a wonderful thing to go to. And one thing we didn't really touch on much was going in a group is something we often don't get a chance to do spiritually. I mean, we tend to roll up to church in our, with our 1.5 children and our spouse and or ourselves. But this is going with, well, if you're taking a bus, dozens, if not hundreds.
If you're going with your parish family, so that's, I mean, the whole picture of it is us going as a diocese, us going as the local church of the Diocese of Camden with our shepherd, Bishop Sullivan, on pilgrimage to the shrine to Our Lady. But then within that, you have parishes, the parish family. Within that, you have individual families. And again, if going on a bus is not your thing, or if you're not able to find a seat but you still want to go, I would say, look into making a day trip out of it, because you won't regret it.
Yeah. And if you're like me, who really enjoys traveling to DC with regularity, you drive down 95, you hop on the Greenbelt line, which is the northernmost metro stop. And you can take the Greenbelt line. I think you got to make one transfer in the middle of DC, but there is a line that'll take you directly to the cathedral as well. I don't think it's on that Greenbelt line. I think you have to go. I think it's on the blue or the red. But the metro in DC is great. I've never had a minute's problem on it. And you get to go through a bunch of their great subway system and train stops.
It's probably the best metro I've ever experienced.
I mean, you'll get a fist fight between people from New York and people from DC, but I love it. I when we go down for the March for Life, that's what I always do. I go to the Greenbelt.
With a crowd like that, it's easier.
It's important, but you will miss out on, and certainly I would encourage you to consider taking a bus trip down, because it's just great to go as part of a big unit. Particularly knowing that you're going to join even more of your fellow diocesan faithful while you're down there.
I've been fortunate to go on another. I'm going on a different bus this year.
What bus are you going on, Pete?
On Christ the Redeemer with ATCO. Father Chris Mann actually just talked to him the other day, and he graciously offered me a spot.
Great.
But I've been with St. Rose of Lima. I've been with St. Pete's of Merchantville. There's only two I remember right now. And now Christ Redeemer, but I've had such good experiences with these faithful and spend time on the bus with them. There's just always so much joy and excitement that early in the morning. I think the bus leaves at like 6:30 to get there. It's a 2.5 hour trip. And there's just something about being in this community, and that, I don't get to see the big church that often. We see it at the I-Race. We see it at the...
Oh, you mean the population of the Catholic faithful?
No, like the I-Race we might get it, but this...
Well, no, that's I-Race, and the Wedding of the Sea in Atlantic City is another big outgoing. And you know me, I get really charged up when I see all my Catholic friends coming together for an event, and this is another one. And I kind of kick myself that I haven't been to it yet, so I'm going to make an extra special effort. If not going down as an entire family, either myself or my wife will be going.
Great.
Yeah. And one of us will take pictures. Okay. And Pete, since you're going, you still have to go down and take pictures and take video.
Okay.
And do your man on the street interviews live from the.
Sounds good.
Live from the pilgrimage.
Okay. Challenge accepted.
There you go. This is excellent. Well, Father Jim, I think we're going to wrap up right now. But thank you very much for coming on board. You have an open invitation to join us anytime in the future.
I just want to say one more time, people who are interested, contact your parish office to find out what your parish is doing to transport people there. Or you can call Donna at 856-939-1769, and she can also give information for what bus is available in your area.
Sounds great. Thank you very much, Father Jim.
Thank you.
And once again, welcome back anytime. We can talk about other things as well.
Okay.
And then, Pete, thank you very much for helping put this together. And I look forward to hopefully seeing you at the pilgrimage in October.
Sounds good. Yeah, hopefully see you and everybody in D.C. with Father Jim. So thanks so much.
All right.